Hello, welcome to Clydesdale Homestead. I'm Tamlin, and today we're going to do a recipe using honey. We are beekeepers and we love to use honey in our cooking. Today we're going to make granola, which is a recipe I've developed myself, and our family loves it so much we eat it just in place of cold cereal, which is also one of my favorite things to eat. So let's get started and making granola. First of all, I developed this recipe to fill up this container. It's a Rubbermaid container, you can find it anywhere, and it does hold quite a bit. It holds, can't see it now, 24 cups, which is about 1.5 gallons. I put that into liters, it's on the bottom. So anyway, I've made this recipe to fill up this container, which is quite a bit of granola. So if you don't need this much granola in your life, feel free to half the recipe, and it'll turn out just fine. I will be sure to put the recipe written in the show description so you don't have to write this all out. I've been making this for years and years, and so I just have the recipe memorized. So let's get started. First of all, I start out with 12 cups of rolled oats. 12 cups is quite a bit, so you need a really big bowl. Then we add about 3 cups of chopped nuts. And you can use any type of nuts you like for this. I often use chopped almonds. These are chopped pecans, which are really good too. And I'm going to do 2 cups of pecans today and 1 cup of cashews. I have some raw cashews that we're using up, so we'll use some of those too. Okay, so 3 cups of nuts. I'm telling you, this takes a lot. Now we're going to take 1/2 cup of cinnamon, which is also a lot of cinnamon. And you can definitely add other spices too. I wouldn't put 1/2 cup of every other spice. I wouldn't put 1/2 cup of cloves in here. That would be too much, but you could mix your spices, add cloves or nutmeg, anything like a pumpkin pie spice would also be really good. And then I add some seeds. And here today I have ground flax and chia and some hemp parts. And I mix these together. You could also use sunflower seeds or any type of other little seed you wanted to add in the mix. I kind of put all these seeds together to total 1 cup. And you could use whole flax also if you like to pick them out from your teeth later. That's what happens with the whole flax. And then I don't do a lot of the chia seeds because they're so tiny and they tend to sink to the bottom. So just a little bit of chia I find is nice. So I just top off my cup with that. Put in the seeds. So that's the dry ingredients for the granola. We'll give that a mix. Just to mix that all up. And then we will add the wet ingredients. So what I've already pre-measured out here is 1 cup of coconut oil and 1 cup of honey. We have bees, we harvest our own honey. And I like to use as few containers as possible when I'm mixing things, so I don't have a lot of dishes left over. So 1 cup of honey, 1 cup of coconut oil, 1 tablespoon of vanilla. There we go. My #1 jar and lid opener is holding the camera right now, so I'm on my own. So 1 tablespoon of vanilla. So this is too hard to be able to mix with oats right now, so what we do is melt it all together in a double boiler. So I'll get that going and show you what it's like. And pause the video. Okay, so I'm putting my coconut oil, honey, and vanilla into hot water. It's starting to almost boil, so I'm going to turn it down a little. I don't want to boil it. And at this point, you could even turn the heat down quite a bit. And it's just going to take some time for all of this to melt. The honey will take longer than the coconut oil to get to a liquid, more liquid consistency. Coconut oil comes to a liquid state at a fairly low temperature. If you live in a warm climate, it might even be liquid in your cupboard But it's winter in North Idaho right now and everything's a little chilly. So we're gonna let this sit for a while, stir it up until it is all mixable and very thin in consistency. Pause the video. Okay, as you can see, it is all combined here. It's very liquid, and we're about ready to take it out. But before we do, Beekeeper Harold has a quick honey fact.
Honey is a natural emulsifier, which means that it can blend with both oil and water.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to be making more videos in the future about the beekeeping itself and the things we make with bee products, such as wax and honey, of course, as well as the beekeeping itself. So stay tuned for those. Make sure to subscribe so you'll get notifications of those great videos, and like this video. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to show you how I lift this out very carefully is the way I lift it out. Make sure you're turned off your gas stove, because who knows what that will do. Just lift it out right there. All right, let's take this over to the granola. And if this is too hot, just let it sit for a little while. You don't want to risk hurting yourself. So I mixed up the dry ingredients very well. They are all combined: the cinnamon, the nuts, the seeds, and oats. It's a little hot still. So I'm just going to dump it all in at once, and then mix and mix and mix and mix, and pour it out into the tray. So let's get that going. Okay, this is some yummy stuff here. So it took about 5 minutes to melt the coconut oil and the honey with the vanilla. And this mixing part will take a little while also. You want to get it completely incorporated so there are no dry oats. They all have a little coating of that honey and oil mixture. So pause the video and I won't let you see it all. Okay, I have been mixing this up and it looks good. You can see that everything looks very even. Every piece of oats and nuts is coated with the oil and the honey. So that's what we want. Now we are ready to put it onto our baking sheets. So I spread this out onto 2 large baking sheets. Make sure you get a good amount into the corners. The corners, when we bake this, tend to get burned. If you put only a little bit in the corners, they could toast a little bit too much, and you don't want any burned flavor in the granola. So fill it up all the way to the edges and the corners. Make it very even. I told you this makes a lot of granola. It really does. Which is good, because no one wants to do this all the time. Every couple of weeks is fine. Okay, so we're going to bake both of these at the same time in a 300-degree Fahrenheit oven for 10 minutes. Then I'm going to open it up and carefully stir all the granola. So we make sure we rotate the granola that's on the edges with what's in the middle. Keep it all nice and toasty. And then bake it for an additional 10 minutes. So it's 20 minutes total at 300, but stirring halfway through. Okay, I'm going to put these into the oven. Okay, 10 minutes, I set the timer, pause the video, and I'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, it's been 10 minutes, so it's time to stir the granola. You want to be very careful, but I especially want to get the granola moved out of the corners so it doesn't overbake. All mixed up. And spread it out again, nice and even. Just like that, doesn't have to be perfect. This just gives it all a nice little toasty flavor. We are not baking it for too long, but just enough so that it's not completely raw and so the oils and the honey get a little bit drier, and we toast those nuts and oats. Just gives it a nice flavor. Okay, 10 more minutes at 300. Okay, we are back. Our granola is completely cooled, and it's been actually a little bit longer than we expected. We had an event come up, which always happens on a homestead. My son invited some friends over to play, and we got a call while we were filming cooking their granola that they couldn't make it up the hill to the mountain. And so we had to go down and rescue them, help them get their car turned around, brought the boys up. So there could be a little bit more background noise, and it's always an adventure here on the homestead, and especially living in the snowy mountains of North Idaho. So we'll get back to the granola. It is completely cooled, and so now all that's left to do is to package it up into your container. Unless this is the point where if you would like to add dried fruits or something like a shredded coconut, this is when you would do that. We don't bake those at all, so you just add those dry ingredients in now if you wanted to mix in some things. Sometimes our family likes to put in different things in different bowls, so I don't add any fruits to the mix itself, but we like to add something like freeze-dried raspberries or blackberries. Sometimes I put in a shredded coconut into the mix, just in my individual bowl, do it that way. So the granola is going to be fairly tough to get out. Okay, it's baked together, so it will take a little bit of a muscle to get it up. You can see it's not burned or anything like that. But it's kind of a crunchy granola, and you're gonna make a big mess. And that's how it is. I have found this scoop. It's a French fry scoop, and we use it for our freeze-dried items also. It fits nicely on the tray. And I discovered that it also fits nicely to go right into my container. Sometimes I have to break it up first before scooping it out. So I will keep working on this. Let me know if you try this recipe, if you like it. And it is very adjustable. You can change out a lot of the ingredients as long as you keep the general ratio of wet ingredients to dry ingredients the same. You will have the same consistency. If you want it to be more chewy, add a little bit more oil, but you gotta watch that not get too much in it. But let me know what varieties you come up with. You could do a macadamia nut and dried banana chips, or a pumpkin pie spice. You could even substitute maple syrup for the honey, which would be really good. Of course, different dried fruits. You could use pepitas or sunflower seeds, all sorts of things. The sky's the limit in making your own granola. I like to use the honey because we have lots of honey as beekeepers, and something that we like to use as much as we can. So I hope you enjoy this granola recipe, and look down in the description for the full recipe. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next time.